Imagine the biggest secret in Hollywood. A secret so explosive, it could destroy two of its biggest stars.
But you gotta help me find him. He isn't dead. I don't believe that.
Well, my mother, Loretta Young, did a film with my father, Clark Gable, called Call of the Wild. And it was the first time that they'd ever done a film together.
Clark Gable, the king of Hollywood, and Loretta Young, the golden girl of the silver screen, were at the center of a scandal so shocking it stayed buried for decades. A forbidden love affair. A child born in secrecy. Lies so elaborate, they fooled the world for over 65 years. But what if I told you that even the child herself didn't know the truth? This is the Hollywood's dirtiest secret, and it's time to uncover it.
Beneath your feet, what treasures would I flame? And the stars should be your pearls upon a string in the world, a ruby for your finger ring. And you should have the sun and the moon to wear, if I were king.
In January 1935, two of Hollywood's most famous stars, Clark Gable and Loretta Young, began filming Call of the Wild together. Gable, 34, was already a huge star and married to Maria Rhea Langham. He had just finished Mutiny on the Bounty, which would later win him an Oscar. Young, only 22, was a well-known actress and a devout Catholic. She had strict rules on set and was known for her no-nonsense attitude, even fining people for swearing. The film brought them together in the freezing wilderness of Mount Baker, Washington, where temperatures were bitterly cold. The movie was groundbreaking for its time because it was filmed on location in the mountains instead of in a studio, which was rare in 1935. The cold weather caused many delays, but it made the film feel more real. The production included scenes that would never be allowed today, like actual dogfights and a dramatic moment where a St. Bernard named Buck pulled a 1,000-pound sled. Buck's trainer, Carl Spitz, had prepared the dog for these intense scenes. Despite all the effort, the movie didn't do well at the box office. However, it was the last film released under 20th Century Pictures before the studio merged with Fox Film Corporation, making it a significant part of Hollywood history. On set, there was a noticeable connection between Gable and Young. Their chemistry was strong, both on and off screen. People who worked on the movie could see how close they were becoming, but they stayed quiet. Hollywood in the 1930s had strict moral codes, and any hint of a scandal could ruin careers. Their performances together felt natural and deeply emotional, especially in scenes where their characters faced the harsh wilderness. This bond, though unspoken publicly, would lead to a life-changing moment. After filming ended, Gable and Young took a train ride back to Hollywood. The train provided a rare moment of privacy, away from Hollywood's prying eyes and the strict moral codes of the 1930s. Young, despite being a devout Catholic known for her proper and almost puritanical image, found herself drawn to Gable's magnetic charm and unforgettable persona, and they couldn't stop themselves. But it was a big mistake. After a few months, when Young discovered she was pregnant at the age of 22, her world turned upside down. As a rising star with a devout Catholic image, the idea of an unwed pregnancy was unthinkable. Gable offered to divorce his wife and marry her, but Young refused. Years later, she told her daughter this was one of her greatest regrets. At the time, she was under contract with 20th Century Pictures, and the studio would have pressured her to have an abortion, a choice she couldn't even consider because of her Catholic faith. To protect herself and her career, Young devised an elaborate plan to hide her pregnancy. By August 1935, she was 5 months along but worked tirelessly to maintain the illusion that nothing was wrong. She appeared at events, filmed 2 movies, and carefully crafted a narrative of exhaustion. She even invited a gossip columnist into her home for an interview while she was 8 months pregnant, cleverly hiding her condition under blankets. Her doctor, who was in on the plan, publicly recommended 2 months of rest for her supposed illness. The public believed her story, and the deception worked perfectly. Young gave birth to her daughter, Judy, on November 6, 1935, in Venice, California, far from Hollywood's watchful eyes. She chose the name Judy in honor of Saint Jude, the patron saint of desperate situations, a reflection of her own struggles. Only a small circle of trusted people knew about the birth. When Gable received an anonymous telegram informing him of his daughter's birth, his response was cold. He reportedly tore it up and ignored it. He wanted nothing to do with the child. What came next was the most heartbreaking part of Young's plan. When Judy was just 8 months old, Young placed her in a Roman Catholic orphanage in San Francisco. For 11 months, the baby was moved between different orphanages and secret locations. This separation was part of a carefully crafted timeline to make the eventual adoption story believable. During the first few months, a nurse nicknamed Frenchie helped care for the baby. But the decision to place Judy in an orphanage weighed heavily on Young. She feared the scandal of an out-of-wedlock child would ruin her career and violate her studio's strict morality clause. After 19 long months, Young put the final part of her plan into action. She announced she was adopting 2 children, a 4-year-old girl named Jane and a nearly 2-year-old named Judy. In a carefully orchestrated twist, Jane's mother changed her mind at the last moment, leaving Young to adopt only Judy, her biological daughter. Hollywood columnist Luella Parsons helped spread the story, framing Young as a kind and generous woman taking in someone else's child. For decades, Young stuck to this story. Judy Lewis grew up in a world of luxury that seemed perfect from the outside, but was full of emotional struggles. She lived in a huge 38-room mansion on a vast 500-acre estate in Beverly Hills, surrounded by the glamour of Hollywood. Home movies were filmed by professional studio cameramen, and her playmates were children of famous stars like Bing Crosby and Joan Bennett. But behind this glamorous life was a deep sense of loneliness. Her stepfather, Tom Lewis, made it clear to her half-brothers that Judy was adopted and not truly part of the family. This created a divide in the home, leaving her feeling out of place. Judy often found comfort in her mother's dressing room, surrounded by beautiful costumes, trying to feel closer to her mother, who seemed distant and unreachable. Judy grew up not knowing a truth that almost everyone around her seemed to know. Hollywood insiders often whispered about her real parentage, but Judy remained unaware until much later. When Judy was 15, she unknowingly met her father, Clark Gable, for the first and only time. It was during the filming of Key to the City in 1950. Her mother, Loretta Young, arranged the meeting without telling Judy the truth. One day, Judy came home from school and found Gable sitting in the living room. For an hour, they talked about her life, her school, her hobbies, and her interests. Before leaving, Gable gently cupped her face in his hands and kissed her forehead, a gesture that would later hold deep meaning for Judy. At the time, she had no idea who he really was. Gable never publicly acknowledged her and declined invitations to her graduation and wedding, even though they shared this quiet, orchestrated moment together. Her striking resemblance to Clark Gable, especially her prominent ears, fueled speculation. As a child, she didn't understand the significance, but it became a weight she carried without knowing why. At the age of 7, her mother arranged for her to have surgery to pin back her ears, after kids at school started teasing her and calling her Dumbo. But the real reason went beyond teasing. Her mother was desperate to hide any obvious resemblance to Gable. Loretta Young insisted Judy wear bonnets and certain hairstyles to keep her ears covered in public. This left Judy feeling self-conscious and thinking there was something wrong with her. The surgery was not just a physical change, but a symbol of the big secret that shaped her life, a desperate effort to keep the truth hidden from the world and from Judy herself. This painful experience stayed with her, showing how far people went to maintain appearances in Hollywood's golden age. In 1981, when Judy Lewis was 31 years old, her life took a shocking turn. She was engaged to Joe Tinney when, during a casual conversation, Tinney revealed something she had never imagined. He mentioned that it was common knowledge in Hollywood that Judy was Clark Gable's daughter. Tinney had heard the rumor from a co-worker even before their first dinner together. For Judy, this revelation was overwhelming. She had always believed she was adopted and never questioned the elaborate stories told to her. Suddenly, everything started to make sense. Her striking resemblance to Clark Gable and the strange memory of him visiting her home specifically to meet her when she was younger. The truth was too big to ignore, and Judy felt she couldn't move forward with her engagement until she uncovered the full story. Confronting her mother, Loretta Young, was a deeply emotional moment. When Judy asked her directly, Loretta broke down. The confession was so painful for her that she became physically ill, vomiting as she finally told the truth. Loretta admitted that Judy was her biological daughter, born after an affair with Clark Gable in 1935. Loretta, a devout Catholic, referred to Judy as "my sin," revealing the heavy guilt she had carried for decades. She explained the lengths she went to hide the pregnancy and protect her career. In 1935, Loretta disappeared from Hollywood for months, secretly gave birth, and placed Judy in an orphanage. When Judy was 19 months old, Loretta adopted her, making up a story about taking in 2 children but returning 1. It was an elaborate plan to protect her reputation in an era when unwed motherhood was scandalous. Loretta had even refused to have an abortion, a common solution for such situations in Hollywood at the time. The secret of Judy Lewis's parentage deeply affected 3 lives and echoed through Hollywood for decades. Loretta Young, Judy's mother, lived under the weight of guilt and shame for most of her life. She built an image of virtue, avoiding scandal by punishing actors for swearing on set and refusing roles that portrayed immoral characters. Yet, privately, she struggled with what she saw as her greatest sin. The secret weighed on Gable, affecting his marriage to Maria Langham, though it didn't stop him from remaining one of Hollywood's most celebrated stars until his death in 1960. As Loretta Young grew older, she finally came to terms with the truth about her past. Before her death in 2000, she made a startling confession. At 85, she realized that her encounter with Gable in 1935, which resulted in Judy's conception, was not consensual. Learning about the concept of date rape changed how she saw that night, shifting her feelings of guilt to an understanding that she had been a victim. She documented this truth in her autobiography, ensuring it would only be published after her death. 3 months after she passed, her authorized biography, Forever Young, revealed what Hollywood had whispered about for years. Judy Lewis was indeed her daughter, with Clark Gable. This admission finally ended a 65-year-old secret that had shaped much of Young's life. Judy Lewis herself told her side of the story in her 1994 memoir, Uncommon Knowledge. The book unveiled the extraordinary circumstances of her upbringing, from growing up in a grand Beverly Hills mansion to living under the shadow of a carefully constructed lie. As a child, she believed she was adopted, only to learn the truth at age 23, when her fiancé revealed her parentage, something Hollywood insiders had known for years. At 31, Judy confronted her mother, who reluctantly admitted the truth. This revelation shattered their relationship, and Loretta refused to speak to Judy for 3 years. The memoir exposed the emotional toll of these secrets, joining other revealing Hollywood books like Haywire and Mommy Dearest, which unmasked the struggles behind the glamour. After confronting the truth about her parentage, Lewis channeled her personal struggles into helping others. She returned to school in her 40s to become a clinical psychologist, shifting away from her earlier career as an actress, where she had appeared in The Secret Storm and various Broadway plays. The revelation of her true parentage had a profound impact on her relationship with her mother, Loretta Young. When Lewis published her memoir, Uncommon Knowledge, in 1994, Young refused to speak to her for 3 years. In the book, Lewis shared her challenging experiences growing up and the emotional toll of not being acknowledged by either of her biological parents. Lewis struggled particularly with Gable's lifelong refusal to acknowledge her, expressing in interviews her wish to ask him, "Where were you when I needed you? Why did you stay away?" She never received closure from Gable, who passed away without ever publicly recognizing her as his daughter. Despite these challenges, Lewis built her own family life, having a daughter named Maria with her ex-husband, Joe Tinney. She dedicated her later years to helping others through her work as a psychologist, perhaps drawing from her own experiences of dealing with family secrets and identity issues. The truth about her parentage was finally confirmed publicly, but only after Young's death in 2000, when her mother's posthumously published autobiography acknowledged that Gable was indeed Lewis's father. This scandal revealed the extreme lengths stars went to protect their images during Hollywood's golden age. While Young had to navigate these elaborate deceptions to save her career, Gable's reputation and career remained untouched, exposing the double standards of the era. Decades later, this story helped people understand the pressures stars faced under the Hays Code and Catholic expectations. It pulled back the curtain on Hollywood's golden age, showing how the glamorous world often hid personal pain and moral compromises. This story continues to resonate as a powerful example of how fame came at a steep personal cost. Loretta Young left an indelible mark on Hollywood, spanning 7 remarkable decades. Starting as a child actress in silent films, she seamlessly transitioned through multiple eras of entertainment. Her career began at age 3 in The Primrose Ring, and by age 14, she was already landing leading lady roles. Young's versatility as an actress was extraordinary. She won the Academy Award for Best Actress for The Farmer's Daughter, 1947, and received another nomination for Come to the Stable, 1949. Her filmography included over 88 movies between 1927 and 1953, working with legendary directors and actors. Perhaps her most significant contribution came through television. The Loretta Young Show ran from 1953 to 1961, making her the first entertainer to win both an Oscar and Emmy. Her signature dramatic entrances in glamorous gowns became iconic, though she legally stipulated these segments couldn't be rerun to prevent the fashions from dating the show. Young was also known for her philanthropic work and dedication to various causes. She established swear boxes on her sets, charging 25 cents for blasphemous language, reflecting her strong Catholic values. On the other hand, Clark Gable, known as the King of Hollywood, established himself as one of the most prominent leading men in cinema history. His career spanned nearly 4 decades, during which he appeared in more than 60 films during the golden age of Hollywood. Gable's most iconic role came in Gone with the Wind, 1939, which cemented his status as Hollywood's leading man. His portrayal of Rhett Butler became the benchmark for romantic leading men in cinema. His famous line, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn," is consistently ranked as one of the most memorable in film history. His acting style, characterized by a blend of machismo and vulnerability, influenced generations of actors. Gable won the Academy Award for Best Actor for It Happened One Night, 1934, a performance that helped establish the screwball comedy genre. Beyond his screen presence, Gable served in the United States Army Air Forces during World War II, reaching the rank of major and flying combat missions. This service enhanced his public image and demonstrated his commitment to his country beyond his Hollywood career. Gable's influence extended beyond his films. His distinctive mustache became a fashion trend, and his rugged yet sophisticated image helped define masculine ideals in mid-20th century America. His work ethic and professionalism on set became legendary, setting standards for future generations of actors.